Floral here, and a warm welcome to my craft room for the second clean and simple card. Now I am scoring it at 5.5 inches here on this full sheet of 140-pound cardstock. I'm using the small Martha Stewart, so I had to turn it over. And I'm going to score it with my Teflon bone folder as always. And because it's such a thick cardstock, you have to get a good grip on that to get a nice crease. And this piece that I did yesterday with those 5 sheets of distress paper is a 6x6 actually card. And so I cut it down to the 5.5 by 6. That's what it ended up being. Now I wanted to do a vintage card. I know, what's new? But it is going to be clean and simple. I promise you, this is, if you like vintage, I'm going to cut it right along there. That's what I'm showing you, because I didn't really know where I was going with this card right here, but I wanted to show you that these folders, when you want to get an emboss where it's sticking up, you know, the image like these beautiful florals, you want to make sure that round circle is on the top. Now I'm going to get my Big Shot Pro out. Look at the size of this thing. I keep it on a shelf on the other side of my craft room there, and I thought it would be just quick to run it through instead of taking out my magnet platform on the other side. See, you can see it on the right. I keep my Vagabond there on my desk. I thought this would be quick and easy as long as I didn't knock everything off my desk in the process of running it through, and I did, and the emboss on this is crazy pretty. So now I'm going to put this great big machine back, and we are going to do a clean and simple vintage card. Look at the emboss on these beautiful flowers. I just loved it. So I opened up my trunk. There's the We Are Memory Keepers. You want to emboss on the top, deboss on the back side where the round circle isn't there. Now, these flowers I get from Michael's. They are gorgeous. Some I get from We Are Roses, but most cases I try to watch for them that go on sale and are at thrift stores, either or. And I love these tiny roses. I got these at a Canadian shop actually from where I'm from. They had a huge sale on, so I grabbed a billion of them because they were such a good deal. I mean, I couldn't resist. So here I am thinking to myself, all right, vintage, I want to have a sheet of vintage paper. And I slowed this down just to show you because I don't know about you, but I have so many 6x6 pads of paper, and I want to use them up, and vintage really is the way to go. This is a Bow Bunny set, and this is authentic. No, this one is graphic 45. Couldn't find anything in this blue shade in the graphic 45. And then I went to the vintage autumn set here. Beautiful. I love these papers. Yeah, I got to do some more albums because that way you will use up the papers. Now this blue was too light. Although I did set it out, it was just too light for that dark paper. And I knew I would hit the exact paper I wanted because I could go through it. So many 6x6 pads. I knew I was sure to find one. So moving right along, aren't these pretty? Oh, I love that clock. Look at that clock. And then it's called Vintage Autumn something or other. I can't see them. This is another Bow Bunny. I think this was my latest haul. Now, I loved this one, but it had way too much dark yellow. And here it is. Whoa, yep, you can see me. My brain is working. Nope. That one was too much. Look at those teacups. I love this paper pad. Love it. Yeah, there it is. Came back. So I set 2 of them up, and the light one has too much cream in it for my liking. So I went with the white. It has a little bit of yellow, but I could handle that. So I took that out, and that is going to be the inside page. Look I'm still struggling to see if there's anything else, but there wasn't. So yeah, Bow Bunny. Lovely paper packs. Vintage Autumn Basics, that's it. Graphic 45 and 2 sets of Bow Bunny. Lovely papers. Now, when I do vintage cards, some are really intense, but some are just clean and simple like this one. There are generally 4 elements to every vintage card, and I decided right here I'm going to jump in. This is my ATG ½ inch runner because it is really sticky and nice, and I want to set this so you don't see any of the white cardstock around it. Isn't that gorgeous? So let me get back here, taking off a bit of excess. 4 things to a vintage card, I think. Pretty paper, pretty ribbon, beautiful buttons or brads, and flowers. Yes, that's consists of. Now, look at me pausing here. This is where I'm deciding what I am going to do with the front page. And literally, this is as long as it took me. I knew I had to rip this paper. I had to have some ripped edges. And I'm setting this beautiful flower here. I think it's We Are Roses. It's something roses. Anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful gardenia, I think. I'm not up on the flower thing. But carnation, maybe? We'll call it a gardenia. How's that? So, anyhow, let's get back to this vintage clean and simple. We're going to do direct to paper, and I'm just off grabbing a little makeup sponge and a little eye applicator actually, and a makeup sponge. And I already picked out the ribbon. I wanted to have shade of gray. Gray always looks nice with any kind of blues and pinks, doesn't it? So I grabbed some satin ribbon and my little applicator. I grabbed 2 different flower brads that I cut the backs of the brads off just with some old scissors that I keep for doing that type of thing. And I wanted to use my distress inks from the front of the card, 2 of the shades of blue, and these beautiful flowers that I got in the clearance bin at Michael's. Did I say flowers? I meant 2 stamps. With one had a beautiful rose on it. I've done many cards with this, and now I'm taking my terrific damp chamois and cleaning off after I stamped it. Much easier to do it when it's still a little wet, right? And then I'm going to put Made with Love with the, I think it's Rusty Hinge that I used here. I wanted to get a little bit of color other than the blues on the back because of that yellow being in the paper with the flowers on the inside piece. So I stamped that out. Now I would generally I would put this with clear embossing powder, but I didn't for some reason. And all I'm doing is thinking I want to keep it, yes, look at that Rusty Hinge. I want to keep it plain and simple, and isn't that a pretty font? And it even came out not crooked. It was even. Couldn't believe it. So I'm setting it down, and I am thinking, oh, I know exactly what I have to do to get these flowers to stand out. I'm going to take a darker distress ink and just slide it over the top. They're so embossed. They are so raised up that it is truly beautiful with these embossing folders. So I grabbed some clear embossing powder that I keep in that big Tupperware container, and look at it. It actually stuck to other places, which I was surprised because it's been drying overnight, right? But that's okay. I just took my paintbrush and I'm going over it just to get rid of as much as I can. And when you see how this pops when I add heat to this embossing powder, oh, it is beauteous. I just love the paper. I love the color hues on the blue here. And here we go. I really do like, compared to the other heat tools I've had in the past, I do like this Milwaukee heat tool. It doesn't take long to heat up, just seconds, and it embosses. It heats high enough to emboss almost immediately. And look at that. Isn't it beautiful? For those of you that are looking for a heat tool, I'm just mentioning it's, I do recommend the Milwaukee heat tool. Now, let's move on. Ripping. That's another thing that goes along with vintage. Tearing and ripping. I love it. And I knew that the middle dark piece had to go on the inside. That's all I knew. And here I am taking some of the distress inks and making sure none of the white cardstock is showing. It's really important when you do any card to make sure you cover the edges with whatever colors you're using, or black, just so that the white isn't showing. That's what I do anyway, and I really like the look. So here you can tell how beautiful these flowers pop up. That is a beautiful set. You get 2 to a set with these embossing folders, which is nice for $9.99 US. I think it's a really good deal because they're 6 by 6. They're really large, and you can work with them, especially if you're just doing an A2 size card. You can make flowers and everything else. But here I'm taking this Making Memories tool. There's 2 tools in there and I love it. I've got the little pad underneath, and if you're going to apply ribbon, this is wonderful. Instead of cutting it and ripping the paper, it makes a beautiful, look at, beautiful opening. And I wanted to show you that the pieces just snap in by magnets. So one set screws on, the black set that's here, and one magnetizes like this one. And I tried both sizes because I knew if the small one was too small, I wanted to show you the 2 sizes. I was checking with the ribbon and it was too small. So I just grabbed after I cut the ribbon, I grabbed the bigger one and I set it over top. I'm telling you, you better be ready because you make a lot of noise with your little hammer banging there. And don't have anything that is fragile, just in case something falls off your desk, which it did for me. I heard this clink, yeah, and it fell off. It was just my glue, so it was okay. But look at how beautiful this looks. I just love it. And if I knew I was going to put a piece of white cardstock on the inside, so it didn't matter that the inside had the ribbon showing. But if you don't put paper on the inside, it is so clean looking. And here, it's just, I don't know. I think this is a Stampin' Up! Ribbon that I'm using here. I'm not too sure because I take them off the rolls sometimes and put them in little baggies, and I put it in my apothecary drawers. Well, we have that on, and I grabbed some glue dots. I just want to secure the ribbon so it stays going up and down this way and doesn't turn on me, and it helps it to stay poofy like that. And when I mail my cards like this, I mail them in a bubble envelope that I get 10 of them at a time at my stationery store, so I don't worry about having to put them in an envelope. But here I am setting some of them down just to, make the poofy stay poofy. And then I grab my glue gun and I put some hot glue behind the upper portion there. It just didn't want to stick with the little glue dot. So now we're going to move along, and you can see that the white, look at that. I just want you to see the ribbon. Isn't that nice and clean? It looks really nice. I added some of my white glue. It's not the Tombow Mono Multi. It is my other one there, Tattered Angels, I think it was. And I can't remember where I got that, but I am going to check it out for you. And I'll put it in the link on my blog as soon as I find out. And here I'm taking a makeup sponge, a really soft makeup sponge, to put the blue hues that I used in the paper on the white flowers. Now you can use any colored flowers you want. And I love the stems because they have wires in them. And I wrap it around a little wee file that I have. It has a nice long handle that is round. And I wrap it and wrap it so I get that twirly look. And then I took the rusty hinge onto this small rose and I set it down there so that the color will coordinate with the inside. And really, this is clean and simple. You're just tearing your cardstock, embossing, tearing the cardstock, putting paper down, and a little cluster of flowers right there with the bow. And I set a napkin in there just so the inside didn't get too messed up. But like I said, I'm going to put paper on there anyway on the inside. because you know I like to have my cards have a little bit of weight to them. And now I'm adding three. I end up with three baby roses like this that are sticking out from the bigger flowers, and I end up with five other sized ones. So I have the large flower and three, let me see, three, four of the middle size, like the smaller size, and three baby buds. Yes. So now I'm going to go over them with two shades of the blue, a deep shade on them with my makeup sponge, a little bit on that white teensy rose, and doesn't that cluster look so pretty? But I needed to hide that white because it got some, I didn't want it stark white like that. So I grabbed some of the inside paper. It only made sense, right, to have it. I just ripped it so it fit, not completely covering the rips because I knew I was going to put vellum behind it. Oh, nothing looks more beautiful on a vintage card than adding vellum. And I am going over the edges with both the blue and the rusty hinge. And I am taking just my nail here. I started out to use the tool, but I like the look with just pulling it down with my nail. I cut it on the outside, and I'm telling you, it really went quickly. This was a clean and simple vintage card. And I'm using some 1/4 inch double-sided tape here to set my vellum on. Excuse me. And I'm cutting it off there. And then I just take my fingernail and I push it down. Yeah, just make it all chipped and edgy. And look at that. And it hides the little bit of mess under there. But this just adds to it, doesn't it? Oh, I'm falling in love with this card even more as I'm watching myself create it. Yeah, it's just so pretty. Look at that. The elements on the inside match the elements on the outside. I grabbed two beautiful rosette brads that are in the, crystal and diamondy looking. And it just matched perfectly. I did one light and one dark, cutting the backs of the brads off. Well, when I'm closing and finishing this card, I just wanted to, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I want to grab my thickers. Remember when we started crafting, I used to buy them at Michael's all the time, and I end up with look at them, aren't they pretty? Oh, I end up with a great big crate full of thickers, and I love them for last minute things like this. And they have them in such beautiful fonts too. So pretty. But I remembered that I had that beautiful paper pack from my friend Virginia. Hey Virginia, she bought me that, and I showed you in a little haul that I got. And here I'm going to add a few little diamonds coming from the bottom of the butterfly, and the back of my clean and simple Victorian style shabby chic card is almost coming to a finish. And when you look at it, the elements are all there. It's not complicated at all. You grab yourself some pretty paper, pretty flowers, pretty ribbon, and pretty brads or buttons, and you can put together a beautiful vintage card. I love the front, and I added a little white rose right in the cluster there so that I could keep to the odd number of flowers. And I think the white added to the outside of the cardstock. I needed to have white right there. And then I'm going to grab my thickers. Yay for thickers! And I wanted a pretty font. That's what I was looking for here. And I found it. It was really spongy. I really like these thickers. I think I was hoarding this set because I didn't have too many of them, and generally I buy things in twos, but I wanted to have love you, so I put the Y right there, the O and the U, and it just added that pop I needed on the inside. I cut out my white cardstock, and I just grabbed some of my tape runner here, and I put it on the inside because I did get a little bit of ink there, so I covered it up. And that's the beauty of it. We just cover it up, and I love my cards to be heavy anyway, so it worked out well. And then I have to put love. There it is. Now when I send this card out to somebody, I always put a sheet of paper on the inside so that nothing will transfer from one side of the card to the other. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. And here I am putting my thickers on. It's almost like a foam. It's like the dollar store foam that we get, but it's a beautiful black font and it's sticky on the back. I love it. And I spelt out the word love. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm just fixing the E, raising it up. There we go. So it's even. I'll remove that piece. There's the back, made with love. And I will send this out to somebody. And I'm just showing you the thickers. They're so soft. They're so pretty. And we are finished, my friends. Thank you as always. Have yourself a blessed day. And I encourage you to try this clean and simple card. We will see you on card number 3 tomorrow. Have a blessed week.